What's up, everybody? This is Skylar with Savage Truth 603, and if you haven't heard about ID 2020, you better listen up because this is going to affect you. So what's ID 2020? Well, it's a global initiative started by the Rockefeller Foundation, Microsoft, and the UN to identify every single person on this planet and make every move that they make connected to their social identity. So this global initiative has already started in some third world countries and some places where they don't have access to the internet, computers, modern healthcare. And the theory behind it is that they need to be able to identify everybody so that they can give them whatever basic human needs they have. Apparently, you can't get your human needs met without having this identity. But what it's really about is tracking people, tracking every single person on this planet. Every website you visit, every store you go to, maybe who you donate to politically, your sexual orientation, your height, your weight, your social security number, eye color. I'm sure they can store data on who your sexual partners are, whether you've had STDs, what kind of porn websites you go on, where you buy your pot from. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on about the information that they can store without any of your knowledge or consent. So you think this can't happen in the United States, right? Because I said they're doing it in third world countries. Well, think again. This is already being instituted in Austin, Texas, under the name MyPass, and it's directed specifically at the homeless individuals in Austin, Texas. And again, they say this is to help them get health care and assistance, whatever they need. But it starts with the homeless, and then the next thing you know, it's going to be refugees, and then it's going to be criminals, and then it's going to be immigrants, and then it's going to be you. And if you choose not to comply with this ID 2020, because you hear people say, "Well, I'm not going to give them my DNA. I'm not going to submit to that." It's not that simple. Why? Let's think about what happens when you say no. You can't online shop. You can't have a driver's license, any licenses that you hold. I have a plumbing license. I have a gas license. I have a business license. All those licenses go out the window. You can't vote. You can't drive. You can't buy guns and ammo. You have no access to a job. You have no access to any government facilities or anything that requires an ID. You can't even buy alcohol. So as I started digging into this data collection and what it's being bought and sold for and who's doing the buying and selling, it is incredibly hard information to come by. There are some companies out there that are data brokers, if you will, but they don't tell you how much they're selling data for or where they get their data, or I mean, it's a pretty scary situation. So the whole slogan behind this is empowering people to own their data, which I think is kind of funny because from everything that I have read, it's about others owning your data. And nowhere have I seen how ID 2020 helps you protect your data and keep it as a property right. All I see is it makes it much easier for advertisers to target you with very specific advertising. Not a big deal, right? Like, oh, I went shopping for shoes today, so now I'm going to get ads about shoes. And oh, that's no big deal. But what if you wanted to remain anonymous for whatever reason online? You cannot do that. Let's say you go online to buy health insurance, and rather than just, filling out a little form, do you smoke? How often do you exercise? What's your weight? Blah, blah, blah. And then you just go get a physical, and now you have health insurance. Instead, the health insurance company is gonna get a hold of your digital identification number, and they're gonna look into your history, and they might see that you went through a short stint where you smoked cigarettes because they saw a couple pictures of you on Facebook with a cigarette hanging out of your mouth, or maybe they see that you don't exercise as much as you say that you do. Or maybe they see that you're overweight, or there's a million things that they could see just on your social media profile alone. That doesn't have anything to do with family history, because they can get all your family history for medical stuff. They can find out anything about you. Now they jack up your insurance rates, or they deny you coverage altogether based on things that have happened in your past that might not actually have an effect on whether you should be insured or not. But they have the right to do that because this information is out there and available to the public to buy. What about auto insurance? Think about that one. You go to sign up for auto insurance, same thing. Maybe you have a clean driving record. You haven't had any speeding tickets, no accidents, but they look at your ID number and they see that while you're on interstate highways, you have your speed history is in excess of 80 miles an hour. So they jack up your rates. That's privileged information, and that's not information that anybody should be able to track just by finding out who you are, because your phone has now become an extension of who you are as a person, and it carries a lot of data with it, a lot of data, and that information should not be available for everybody and anybody to purchase whenever they so choose. This may all sound really dictatorial, and I know what you're thinking, because I texted a couple of my friends about this just to see if they had heard of it and what information that they had, and the couple friends that I texted both had said that they hadn't heard of it, or one of them said, oh, the ID that you need to fly with, right? And I kind of laughed, like, yeah, I wish it was that simple, because it's definitely not that simple. So, you're thinking, well, if they're doing this in, third world countries, and they're doing this in parts of the world that don't have access to modern medicine and modern technology and stuff like that, then it must be a great thing. And that's never going to come here. Like, we already have IDs and social security numbers, and we don't need that stuff. Well, this is a global initiative. Again, this is a global initiative by the UN, by Microsoft, by the Rockefeller Foundation, and they want to know what everybody is doing. They don't care about the people in the third world countries. They care about the consumers. They care about the people who may have a problem with the government. How many people out there are on pages about, that are boogaloo pages, or that are militia pages, or that are 3%er pages? If you think that stuff's not going to be attached to your social identity, you are crazy. They could deny you gun rights. They could red flag anybody, just because they could be labeled as an extremist. You let that one sink in for a second. The craziest part about it all is if they labeled you as an extremist or somebody who is subject to be red flagged, there's not anything that you could do to stop them. There's not anything that you could do to run, and there's not anything that you can do to hide, because they know every move that you make. They know where your family lives. They know where your hangouts are. They know where you go in the woods to get away from everything, because you always bring your phone. They'll know if you have pets. They'll know if those pets are registered. They'll know how many vehicles you have, whether those vehicles are registered and inspected. The list just keeps going. They'll be able to attach every gun purchase that you make, every ammo purchase that you make. You could even be red flagged or labeled as a domestic terrorist just by buying too much ammo or possessing too much ammo. Think about that. And have all your rights stripped away. So this is Skylar with Savage Truth 603, and I'm pretty sure that I've made my point. Our data definitely has some value. I think that Andrew Yang was right about that. I didn't realize that until I really started looking at things. Our data has a value. The question is, what is that value? But my biggest concern is the accessibility to said data. That's our property, and we should be able to keep it as private as we would like. And as of now, we cannot do that. It's time to put our foot down. Once again, Skylar with Savage Truth 603. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Like, subscribe, share this stuff. It's the only way I'm going to get any traction.